Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the first of a series of public hearings from the Reapportionment Advisory Committee, where we will be presenting a draft map proposal for Pittsburgh's council districts. So with that, we have a presentation prepared for tonight. I'm going to pull it up. Okay, so what is the RAC? The Reapportionment Advisory Committee is a 9-member body appointed by City Council. And the purpose of the body is to draft a reapportionment map for Pittsburgh City Council districts based on the 2020 decennial census. Who is the RAC? The RAC is comprised of the appointees that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. Each council member appoints a representative to the committee, and we are also supported by staff from the city clerk's office, the law department, and the Department of Innovation and Performance. The reason we're here today is because the Pennsylvania Constitution requires the apportionment of council districts every 10 years after the release of the U.S. decennial census. Because the last census was released on August 12th of 2021, the due date by which council needs to approve a reapportionment plan for Pittsburgh is August 11th of 2022. So council formally created the Reapportionment Advisory Committee when it passed legislation on September 21st, 2021. From then forth, our first meeting was on the 12th of October of 2021. For the remainder of 2021, we held bi-weekly meetings or meetings every other week. And starting in 2022, the committee has met regularly on a weekly basis until the approval of a preliminary map draft on March 15th of 2022. In drafting the reapportionment plan for Pittsburgh, we had to take into consideration 4 legal criteria as established by the Pennsylvania legislature. So districts need to be composed of compact territory. They need to be composed of contiguous territory. They need to be as nearly equal in population as practicable. And we must be in compliance of the Voting Rights Act. With regards to district compactness, this is defined as a district that is as solid and uniform in shape as possible. Of the 4 criteria we had to take into consideration, this is the one with the greatest deal of legal latitude. And as for district contiguity, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court defines it as a district in which one person can go from one point in the district to another point in the district without leaving the district, or a district in which no part of the district is separate from any other part. That second caveat is important because it takes into consideration natural barriers such as rivers or lakes that might split a district. We also have to abide by the one person, one vote rule as established in Article 9, Section 11 of the PA Constitution, which states that the voting power of every individual should be equal to that of any other individual. The Commonwealth Court also ruled in 2005, I believe, that reapportionment plans with a deviation of less than 10% enjoy a safe harbor threshold from legal challenges. So what that means, and we'll get into it a little bit more later on, is that the difference between the largest district and the smallest district must be less than 10% of the population district average. Finally, we had to take into consideration the Voting Rights Act. So the Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965 was established to enforce the provisions of the 15th Amendment, which prohibits government from denying citizens the right to vote based on a person's race. This led to the creation of what's called majority-minority districts. And a decision from the Supreme Court in Thornburg versus Gingles establishes the criteria, the three-pronged criteria by which one can create a majority-minority district. So first off, the minority group must be sufficiently large and geographically compact to constitute a majority. The minority group must be politically cohesive. In other words, they must vote generally as a bloc. And the white majority must vote sufficiently as a bloc to defeat the minority's preferred candidate. And furthermore, the Supreme Court in a decision for Bartlett versus Strickland further defined what constitutes a majority as a minority voting age population that constitutes a minimum of 50% of the total voting age population of a district. And just to note here that what they mean by voting age is anyone over the age of 18. So where are we today? Before you, you have a map of Pittsburgh's current council districts. Note here that we have two majority-minority districts in District 6 in yellow and District 9, which is in the darker green. And based on the 2020 census data, the total population of Pittsburgh is roughly 302,000 people. So that's a decrease of about 2,700 from the 2010 total of 305,000, which means that the ideal district population is 33,663. What that means is the average for each council district must be roughly around that number of 33,663. And you get that number by divided 302,000 by the 9 council districts. Also, a further note in the table that you see below here, just a couple items to highlight. Number one, the smallest districts right now in Pittsburgh are districts 1 with a deviation from the population ideal of negative 9.83%, and district 9 with a deviation from the population ideal of negative 10.27%. Conversely, the largest district is District 8 with a population surplus of 8.7% from the population ideal. And what that means is the numbers that are in the negative need to significantly increase. Those districts need to significantly increase in population. And for District 8, which is above the population ideal, it needs to significantly decrease. Furthermore, if you take a look at the last column, we provide the percentages of the African-American voting age population for each district. Of note here again are districts 6 and 9. These are the majority-minority districts. To reach a majority threshold, just as a reminder, a majority-minority district must be comprised of at least 50% voting age population. So District 6 right now stands at 45.43%, which means that we have to increase our minority African-American population in order to reach that 50% threshold. And District 9 right now is at 62.4%. That brings us to the draft map proposal from the Reapportionment Advisory Committee, which you can see before you right now. This map achieves the deviation threshold at 9.83%. So once again, that's under 10%. And it also maintains the majority-minority districts for Districts 6 and 9 at 50.1% and 55.74% respectively. And as in the previous slide, this is a breakdown of the population numbers by district. And again, of note here are districts 3, which is the largest district at 4.56% from the population ideal, and district 6, which is a negative 5.28% of the population ideal. And just to reiterate, the African-American voting age population percentages for 6 and 9 are 50.1% and 55.74%. So what we'll do now is we'll go through each district to provide a breakdown of the significant changes. District 1 is an interesting case because it's a district that needs to significantly increase in population, right? So in order to do that, we made some significant changes. If you look at the table to your left, we moved The precincts in the central north side are currently in District 6 into District 1. So those will be 25-1, 25-2, and the 25-3. We move a precinct in downtown 2-1 from 6 into 1. We also move the strip district, which is precinct 2-2 into District 1, as well as Polish Hill, which is comprised of 6-4 and 6-5 in the District 1. And the precincts that are lost in this map are the neighborhood of Marshall Shadeland, which are precincts 27-9 through 27-13, and a precinct in Perry South, which is 26-10. And when we get to the District 6 slide, I'll provide a further explanation of why we made those changes, but in summary, it had to do with reaching the majority-minority thresholds for District 6. District 2 seems some minor changes, so it doesn't lose any precincts, but it gains a couple precincts. In 1914, which is a neighborhood in Mount Washington, goes from District 4 to 2. In 1810, which is a neighborhood in the South Shore, which goes from District 3 into District 2. And just a further note, throughout these slides, the current maps are listed on the left-hand side and the proposal is listed on the right-hand side. District 3 also sees some minor changes. So the couple of precincts are gained. Precinct 18-1, which is the Bon Air neighborhood, goes from 4 into 3. 419, which is a precinct in Oakland, goes from 6 to 3. One of the reasons we did that, on top of achieving the majority minority numbers for District 6, was to also try to consolidate Oakland to be represented by 2 council districts as opposed to 3 council districts. So that's one of the reasons why we made that change. And finally, precinct 16-9, which is a neighborhood of St. Clair, is a precinct that moves from currently District 3 into District 4. So Council District 4, again, we've already gone through some of these changes based on the prior slides for 3 and 2. But there are a couple of precincts that are lost. 1914, which is a neighborhood in Mount Washington, goes from 4 into 2. 18-1, which is a neighborhood of Bon Air, goes from 4 into 3. And finally, 16-8, which is St. Clair, is a precinct that's gained. So that goes from District 3 into District 4. Some minor changes in District 5. This is a district where no precincts were gained, but a couple precincts were lost. So 1420, which is a part of Squirrel Hill, goes from 5 into District 8. And 1419, which is the neighborhood of Regent Square, goes from District 5 into District 9. Now, of all the districts, District 6 posed the greatest challenge for the committee. Again, just to reiterate, this is a majority-minority district, which currently has roughly a voting age African-American population of around 46%. So if you remember, in order to reach the majority-minority threshold, we need a voting age population of at least 50%. So that presented some challenges in terms of what the neighboring precincts around 6 are. A lot of those are majority white precincts, so it restricted us to where exactly we could move to gain those population numbers. So in order to reach that threshold, we made the following changes. The neighborhood of Marshall Shadeland gets moved into District 6. Those are precincts that are mostly comprised of a majority voting age population that is African American. So those again would be 27-9, 27-11, 27-12, and 27-13, as well as Perry South, 27-10. Now, we did move some precincts out of District 6 to also reach those majority-minority thresholds, specifically the precincts that comprise the Central North Side, 25-1, 25-2, and 25-3. Were all moved into District 1. These are majority white districts, so that helped us reach those population thresholds. And a big one was also downtown, split right now. So 2-1, which is a precinct that is mostly white voting age population, is about 1,900 people, voting age population that are white. So by moving that into District 1, we were effectively able to reach the 50% majority minority threshold. And finally, a couple precincts in Oakland were moved again to consolidate Oakland into 2 council districts, and those were 4-6 and 4-19. 4-6 goes into District 8 and 4-19 goes into District. District 7 also sees some significant changes. This is a district that didn't need to grow and needed to lose some population. So the following precincts were moved out of the district. The Strip District is now in District 1, as well as the neighborhood of Polish Hill. So those would be 2-2 for the Strip District, 6-4 and 6-5 for Polish Hill. Finally, District 8 was one of the largest districts that needed to lose a significant amount of population. So that's why there's several districts, or precincts, I should say, that were moved out of District 8. The neighborhood of Point Breeze is effectively moved into District 9. It does gain a couple precincts in Oakland. 4-6 goes from District 6 into 8. And 14-20, which is a part of Square Hill, goes from District 5 into District 8. The last council district is Council District 9, which again is a majority minority district, which lost significant population compared to the last census. So this is a district that had to significantly grow to reach those population thresholds. So that's why we moved, again, just to reiterate, Point Breeze into District 9, as well as the neighborhood of Regent Square from 5 into 9. All right, so this brings us to next steps. We will hold a series of public briefings to present the RAC map proposal and receive public feedbacks. We'll be highlighting those other meetings in the next slide, but those will take place throughout the rest of this month as well as the month of April. The committee will then convene again to talk about the feedback and make further edits to the map based on the feedback received at these hearings. So that'll take place around April and early May. And at some point in May, after those edits are made, the Reapportionment Advisory Committee will submit the recommended reapportionment map to City Council. And City Council needs to provide a final vote on the reapportionment map in July. Now, if you recall, the due date we're working against is August 11th of this year. However, Council does go into recess in August. So that's why the final vote needs to take place at the end of July. What we have here is a list of the upcoming public hearings. We try to schedule these throughout the city of Pittsburgh. We also have a couple hearings scheduled in the weekend for folks that can't make it during the week. So starting next week, our next one is on March 30th at 6 p.m. at Homewood, the Homewood YMCA. We'll also have one at the Pride Project, at the Pittsburgh Federation of Teachers, the Carnegie Library in Oakland, and the Sheridan Healthy Active Living Center. And that concludes our presentation of the reapportionment map proposal from the committee. We appreciate your time. I'd like to just point out that in the slide you see before you, there's a website at the bottom there, Engage Pittsburgh PA, and that you can get more information about the Reapportionment Advisory Committee, about its process, about the criteria that we use in drafting the proposed map. You can also access the upcoming meeting hearings and sign up to speak at those hearings as well through the website. And the map that you see before you, I realize it's kind of tricky to read, but we try to consolidate the current map with the proposed map. So all of the precincts that look shaded, those are the ones that are being moved from one district into another. Okay. All right, so now we want to move on to testimony from registered speakers. When I call you, I ask that you please give your name and address for the public record. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the committee. And our first speaker is Patrick Gianella. Okay, it looks like Patrick is not present. So we'll move to the next one. Debbie Lemaire. Also not available. Okay. Jacob Williamson. Okay. Okay. John Rhodes. No. Stephanie Texa, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
My name's Stephanie Techa, and I don't know if you need to see me or not, but I guess not. I live on Polish Hill. I live at 3441 Bethoven Street, Pittsburgh, PA 15219. I've been a Polish Hill resident all my life. And I guess the only remarks I have, because it was nice to see your thought process, but when I guess I have two thoughts. One is that years ago I ran for school board, and because I lived in my district, a lot of my district covered Polish Hill Strip District across the hill to the north side, and it was extremely difficult to grasp and get to all of the constituents. And having our council lady very close to us, along with like Lawrenceville and Bloomfield, it's extremely helpful, her knowing like our neighborhood, what our needs are, etc., things like that. I think becoming a part of a larger district like District 1, I think it's going to be difficult. And the new district councilman 1 may be Superman, but just from looking at the map, it might be quite a feat to try and do the entire district and including our neighborhood. I also think the continuity of Polish Hill will kind of be missed. There's a lot of needs and things that are very similar to Bloomfield and Lawrenceville that we all share. And the plus having a council person that's just in our area, who knows our area, has been very beneficial. So maybe one suggestion I would have after looking at this map is maybe redistrict it so the council folks don't have to run around all over the place, make it more accessible to them. But thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing the information that you did beforehand.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our next speaker is Carrie Tawaso. Carrie, I think you might be muted. If you're on the phone, hit *6. Carrie, we'll try to come back to you. So we'll move on to the next speaker, Ruby Velasco. Oh, okay. Hi, Ruby.
Yes. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Ruby Velasco. I live in Polish Hill, 3025 Brereton Street. And I just wanted to say that there lacked transparency when this map came out. So we didn't have enough time to get community input. And that in Polish Hill, we kind of align ourselves a lot with the neighborhoods of Bloomfield and Lawrenceville. And we think that kind of separating us from them kind of prohibits us from acting as a coalition for social justice, economic justice, and environmental justice. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ruby. Next speaker is Melanie Von Trapp. Melanie, I think you're muted as well. You're on the phone. Try hitting *6. Okay, we'll try coming back to you, Melanie. Next speaker is Abby Lacombe.
Can you hear me? Is it working?
It's
Oh,
working.
thanks,
I
Bobby.
real-
I see your thumbs up. Appreciate.
I realized I had my microphone on mute. I apologize.
Thanks so much for your time. Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you, even through this very pixelated version. I live at 3349 Melwood Avenue in Polish Hill. I want to echo other sentiments that have been put forth of the combination. There's a confluence. We live on a confluence. There's a confluence at Lawrenceville, Bloomfield, Polish Hill. There are a lot of residential and school and commercial overlap between these three neighborhoods. I do think that this map might be a little bit of a mistake. I know that other maps were put forward that keep us contiguous with our geographic neighbors. I have a lot of concern for Polish Hill, which is already a pretty isolated neighborhood, right? It is not contiguous with any other neighborhood in Pittsburgh, but has a lot of mutual overlap with its immediate geographic neighbors. I hope that over the next few sessions, we can find a way to keep Polish Hill from becoming like a further island and a little bit more entwined with its immediate social interface, whether that would be like joining with the Hill District or joining with D7. I don't think that D1 is going to be a space that this neighborhood is going to continue to have the voice that it needs to have. We have a lot of serious infrastructure issues there due to our watershed, and I worry about becoming an isolated problem issue as a neighborhood inside of a district. That's all for right now. It's nice to see you all.
Thank you, Abby.
Always good to hear you. I don't think I can see you. Yeah, so good to hear from you.
And I believe we have a speaker by the name of Lisa. What's her last name? Lisa Goddard. And again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. Lisa, I think you're on mute. Unmute your microphone. Let's go back to a couple of folks. Lisa, we'll try to come back to you. I see that Patrick Gianella is now on the call. Patrick Gianella?
Yes,
Yes, we can hear you.
okay. Do you want me to speak now?
Yes, please.
Well, I live in Mount Washington, and partially Anthony Coghill represents some of our district, some of our community, not our district. Teresa Kill Smith represents some of it. And I thought it would be best that we be incorporated into Anthony's district because his views are more in line with that of our communities and Beachview and Brookline that he also represents. Also, Teresa always tells us that she has the biggest district in the city, and it's quite overwhelming. So I was hoping that the entire Mount Washington could be incorporated into one district, and that of Anthony Coghill's.
Thank you, Patrick. And John Rhodes, I see that you're on the call now.
Hi, yes, thanks.
Go ahead, we can hear
You can hear me?
you.
Great.
Yes, we can. Mhm.
Thanks a bunch. My name is John Rhodes. I live at 3030 Wiggins in Polish Hill. And as you've probably heard from my neighbors, since it's only been 2 days since the reapportionment committee released their draft map, the neighborhood has not had time to have a full community conversation about how this affects our neighborhood by moving us into a new district. But for now, had a couple of points. First, I wish that the reapportionment decision-making process had been made more transparent so we could understand the rationale for moving most, but not all of our neighborhood into a new district. I also noticed that this meeting is the only meeting that allows citizens to testify remotely, at least from the Engage page. It seems all others are only in person. So I hope the committee will consider enabling citizens to testify remotely for another one of these hearings later on in the process so that people who might not be able to attend in person due to physical ability or work demands, et cetera, have a chance to review the map and call in to testify then. And I also wanted to express our concerns about the fact that again, according to the Engage page, the reapportionment committee was supposed to follow rules and guidelines in drawing the new district maps. And I'd like to emphasize two that I believe were violated with how Polish Hill was incorporated into the map. Number one, the Engage page lists several points that the RAC is required by law to adhere to. One of those points is that, quote, district lines must be compact to the greatest extent practicable. And with all due respect, I believe that anyone viewing District 1's boundaries would consider the inclusion of Polish Hill to look like, for lack of a better way to say it, a vestigial tale of a gerrymandered district. And two, the Engage page also states that the RAC is committed to keeping neighborhoods intact to the greatest extent practicable. However, the new proposed map actually splits our neighborhood, dividing us along the busway. I don't know if the commission members knew that Polish Hill's northern boundary is actually Liberty Avenue, not the busway. And so this map would actually split our neighborhood. The other thing that I think is important for us to talk about is community of interests, as a number of my neighbors have mentioned. As far as I could see, looking back at old maps, at the 90s was the oldest one I could find. Polish Hill has always been in the same district as
Thank you, John. We'll move to our next speaker. So we're going back to the list of folks who I think we're having some technical difficulties. Carrie Toasso. Carrie, I believe your phone is on mute. Try hitting *6. Hey, Carrie, can you hear us? Hello? We'll try coming back to you, Carrie. Melanie Von Trapp.
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you, Melanie.
Hi. Oh, great. Okay. Sorry about earlier.
It's okay.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. I live in Polish Hill as well, and I would echo pretty much everything John Rhodes was saying. I think it's important for us as a neighborhood to continue under Council Member Deb Gross under District 7 due to just our relationships with our neighbors, and it just makes sense to continue building that rapport with Lawrenceville and Bloomfield, and sharing the same values and not so much values, but just sort of geographically, we're all sort of in the same area, and it makes sense for us to continue that. And yeah, so I mostly just say that I am for staying in District 7. Thanks.
Thank you, Melanie. Let's try going back to Carrie Toasso. Carrie, if you can try unmuting your phone and.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yep.
I apologize. Lots of things going on here. I was driving, taking in incoming calls, and I apologize. I don't want to waste your time. I just, listening to everyone speak, I just want to, just pretty much echo everything I've heard from the Polish Hill residents, just about dividing the neighborhood. I just don't see the benefits of that. And yeah, just short notice, the 2 days, just pretty much everything everyone said. I don't want to repeat everybody, but yeah, just would like you guys to consider it. Giving us time to talk things over and have some public input. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. I believe that exhausts our list of speakers. Oh, yeah, Lisa, my bad. Sorry about that. Lisa Goddard, please. Lisa, if you can unmute your microphone. Lisa, if you can hear us, if you can please unmute your microphone. Lisa, it looks like we're having some technical issues. Just want to reiterate that you can provide feedback also via the Engage PGH website. And we have some upcoming hearings as well where you have an opportunity to speak at those as well. I don't know what's going on, so I apologize for that. Well, it looks like that exhausts our list of speakers. And with that, having exhausted the business of this public hearing, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.